Hello, everyone. Welcome to Turf Topics, a presentation of Aquaritan Turf Solutions. Joining us is Bruce Rickert, the superintendent at Medford Village Country Club in Medford, New Jersey. Last year, he introduced Aquaritan 19 to his agronomic program. Bruce has been at his club since 1994. The golf course itself has been open since 1964. We began our conversation by discussing how the golf course has evolved over the course of time.
Well, it's a 60-year-old course. It was constructed as an owner bought the land or had the land, constructed the course through the architect Gordon. So basically push-up greens, no internal drainage, different soils to build the course. So over the course of the 30 years, I've been doing all the things necessary to try to increase drainage on the greens, get areas more playable, try to move from POA to bent grass, and installed a lot of drainage. Now we're working on some T-leveling projects, but it's just been a constant improve, some years better than others.
Are there certain agronomic challenges that you have that maybe some other people wouldn't? I mean, you're in the heart of a transition zone, so you're sort of a bullseye for things. But are there issues maybe that are unique to your facility that other people don't have to deal with?
Well, I guess in South Jersey, our water quality is what they consider cedar water. So it kind of oozes out of the ground from a but just a brownie staining colored water that tends to have a good amount of phosphorus. So when I came here, the greens, and still are just loaded with phosphorus from back in the day, as well as, you need phosphorus to germinate seeds. So we had over 800-900 pounds of phosphorus to the acre. So through the use of Dr. York at Tournament Turf, we basically went to a lot of calcium, monthly applications of high calcitic lime to try to push the phosphorus off the clay colloid or the whatever comes through the water. Our water quality shows, a few pounds a year of phosphorus. So I guess agronomically, that's probably the biggest challenge. And through that program, I've probably been on with him for 20 years or so. Just recently, I've seen a huge increase within the last 6-8 years of bent grass being able to be more dominant in the stand on greens. And I would say that could be my biggest challenge. And agronomically, disease-wise, and POA and light and frequent water on some of the POA greens and heavily tree-lined. We battle summer patch a good amount July through September. So those are probably my biggest challenges.
Are your greens a bent and POA mix, or are you going for one or the other?
I'm trying to not so much convert, but to have one species outcompete the other. So I want to get to more bent grass, which I'm seeing that happening. And by reducing the amount of phosphorus in that top, 4 inches or so, especially in the top inch, the POA is not as competitive with the bent grass because it doesn't have that phosphorus in the shallow root zone to compete. So the bent grass tends to dominate better, and I've been seeing that within the last 8-10 years. So we'd like to be bent grass. Some green complexes are challenging because we're a very tree-lined course, and we have several greens that are pocketed. Over the years, we have put drainage in many of the greens, and that's only going to be a part of the program, having drainage and sunlight and air movement.
You started using Aquaritan 19 last year. How did you first find out about it?
Well, I've been kind of noticing more and more about nanotechnology through advertising, through Anil, and kind of looking at it over a year or so. And I like to try products. The nanotechnology part of it just seemed to interest me, and that's really part of it was through what I saw out there and some not so much sales brochures, but advertising and kind of, doing some side research on nanotechnology and things like that, and how it's kind of moving its way into agriculture kind of got me interested. His program for testing the product I thought was outstanding, simple, followed through very well. It was easy to use. Yeah, about a year ago.
I'm thinking about your putting surfaces, and when the golf course was built, it was intended to rival Pine Valley in terms of difficulty. So do you have to be particularly careful with your greens in terms of making them playable, but not so demanding that they're too difficult for your members to putt on?
Yes. That's kind of a nice thing. I mean, I don't have to go out and stem 14s and 15s. When these greens get 11, 12, they're difficult, reduced pin placements. I mean, it's basically consistent roll. Try to give them a product that is, at that point where it's just fast enough for your good, your better players and is good enough for the regular membership.
For people like me. In terms of playability, how does Aquariton help you do that in terms of consistency, in terms of ball roll, and just overall conditioning and green speed and that kind of thing?
I really haven't evaluated the product in that light. I look at products in terms of response, what I see out of the turf. We had a good year weather-wise. I see an immediate, not so much immediate, but a greener color. The grass seems to be more upright. It's got better looking turgidity. The product is phenomenal in the sense that drought resistance, where volumetric water content, I would normally see wilt at 10 or 12. I mean, this product goes down to, with Aquariton on the greens. I'm looking at 6s with no real wilt symptoms. The footprinting is minor. It's much better than if you were comparing it to Axel Benzlar. I haven't tissue sampled, so I don't know if silica is increasing, because I've always thought to myself, the greens are been modified with sand top dressing over how many years, and what do we need silica for? So it was kind of interesting, that nanotechnology part of it and silica and the ability to mix it with everything. I mean, I'm not trying to make an advertising here, but just thoughts on the top of my head. I haven't tissue tested to see, what's really going on in that light, but that's really what I see out there. Right now, I'm kind of looking at, I've always had problems as a superintendent trying to get growth, recovery, coming out of winter, and I don't want to over-fertilize, I don't want to overstimulate. So my curious point coming out of this winter is, what kind of response am I going to see with this product as far as growth, green up, health of plant? And I'm continuing to use it through the winter. I just applied it last week as it mixed in with my snow mold program, which right this time of year is monthly applications. Had a nice day. It was beautiful spray.
So how often were you applying it during the golf season?
Probably close to every 2 weeks to every week. at the 6 ounce per acre rate.
With the season seemingly getting a little longer in terms of climate and all that, it seems that the golf season in your part of the country has gotten longer. Does that mean you're applying it later into the fall?
Well, this is my first full year, so I just don't see any reason not to have it in the tank, because I have seen some positive effects with the product. And like I'm saying, I'm trying to see what it's going to do coming out of the winter. So I don't see any negative by keeping it going out there, trying to see if I can get growth, recovery through the winter months, and which of course would help with the extended golf season, getting players out there. And it's mostly recovery. I mean, you come through the fall, we deep tine our greens Columbus Day weekend or Columbus Day week. So I like having holes left in the winter, through the winter months as much as possible. So that was a inch tine, 10 inches deep, roughly 3x3 pattern, backfilled with sand. So you have a lot of sand on that top surface going through the winter months, and you got these golfers on their shoes and grinding it in. So I need recovery, and I just can't get it granularly without everything striping up, or so it's trying to, or overstimulating the grass. So I'm trying this product right now.
Are you open all year, weather permitting? Obviously not
Yes.
right now, but open all year, weather permitting?
Open all year, weather permitting.
What kind of response are you getting from your members in terms of how they see the greens, in terms of their appearance, in terms of how they're putting, whatever? This
year was a dry year, a good year for turf grass, timely rainfalls, not a whole lot of humidity. So the response this year from the membership was very good. Condition of the greens, health of the greens. I'm not sure if I can put that all on Aquaritan. I just felt that, it gave us an advantage for keeping ahead of wilt and moisture. Keeping moisture in the greens, it definitely gave us an advantage that way.
Do you find yourself using less water than would have been the case a couple of years ago?
I would imagine, yes, you would use less water, but most of my approach is I don't use the overhead sprinklers that much, other than to syringe the greens, but a lot of it is hand watering. So you could say you'd use less water if you're waiting longer to water in the day. So if you're normally out watering at 11 o'clock and now you're going to past 12 o'clock, you would be using less water, yes. But I don't see a direct correlation. I just see better control of the plant's moisture, the moisture in the plant.
How big a crew do you have other than yourself, Bruce?
Right now we have 5-6 people. During the summer months, I'll try to get to 14. Labor is a tough issue, especially in the town of Medford, which tends to be more affluent. It's harder to get people from within the community to want to come and do the work we do. So now you're looking at people having to have cars and travel, 6 miles, 7 miles to get to here. So it's difficult.
With that said, do you find that Aquaritan's effectiveness has allowed you to maybe utilize some of your man hours doing other things than hand watering or whatever?
I would say yes, because you're able, when I get a better feel of the product for how long I can really wait on watering, we would be waiting and doing other things while the product is doing its thing. I would say yes. Even if we're watching and not watering while someone's watching, I could use a less, like myself, I can go out and manage the 18 greens and know what greens to go to and take care of it, and that frees up my assistant to do other things. So in the grand scheme of things, yes, that's correct.
How big are your putting surfaces on average?
They are 6,500, and I've got a couple about 800, but they average about 6,500, 6,000 to 6,500.
And some of the most challenging in the area, from what I have read and what I've been told.
It's a gem. It's a hidden gem just outside of Medford, you know. It's not bordered by any real roads, so you don't see it, so people really don't know we're here.
In terms of expanding the use of 19, are you looking at maybe doing that going forward, or you're still in the evaluation process of what it's doing now?
I'm definitely want to expand it to fairways. I don't know if that's going to be this spring. I'll probably be looking at that hopefully this summer, only because, yes, I'm still investigating. And, it's very cost effective. It's just a matter of seeing what the overall effect is. I mean, because, I just have some theories with carbon fertilization out there. There's a lot of things going on that maybe 6-7 years ago you didn't see turf grass respond like it does in these times with a lot of carbon in the air. I just find there's a correlation between maybe the early 80s, mid 80s to now. Turf grass is just doing a lot of things without a lot of input is a thought that I have, thinking in the back of my mind. So evaluating Aquarium 19 for these other areas that water management and the turf is almost like a crunchy after you apply it. It's the turgidity of the plant. It's pretty cool. But there's a lot of things I think about out here with weather and what's going on. So as far as expanding it, definitely like to get it into the fairways.
Taking you in a little different direction for a moment, I asked you about the evolution of the golf course. How has your role as superintendent changed over the last 30 years with advances in the profession and all that's involved now that wouldn't have been the case 30 or 40 years ago?
Well, I mean, fungicides are the best they've ever been. Rates are low. Products are expensive, but, application rates are low. I would think that they're definitely safer for people, for applicators to apply. So big advancement in pesticide technology. Technology is good and bad in all other areas because for some people it works out. You put out a large amount of money and it works for you. Sometimes you'll put out a lot of money and it doesn't come through as advertised, or you don't see the value and don't use it. So I've seen that through those 30 years. Equipment's gotten better, not so much now with supply chain issues. But I mean, I've always kind of watched technology, liked technology, not afraid of it. Although my laptop, I wanted to work for the meeting here, decides it's going to Windows update for 4 hours. But anyway, there's those issues that I find myself getting frustrated when technology doesn't work for me.
I wouldn't know anything about that myself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right?
Go on. Go on. Please.
it's just amazing the advances that have gone on, and how we use them, and if they work for us, like this job board technology has been real eye-opening for me. Hey, I really don't have to be there in the morning. I can put it up the night before. So that's been helpful, technology-wise. I don't know where we're going. The whole technology and GPS. I love venturing into GPS technology, but it's not all cracked up. You put a huge investment in it, and then you don't get satellites. So that stinks. So that's kind of the dark side of technology. The robotic mowers. That's interesting.
Is that something have you looked into that using robotic mowers?
I did contact with AMP. Who's that? Those guys who just put out a 100-inch fairway mower. I was real impressed with that. So I talked with them. I don't know if the club. So we're an owner operation, and he's got a way to spend his money throughout all different areas. So I don't know if that puts us into a price point that's doable with him. But yeah, I think it's all great. Good stuff.
Joining our conversation is Anil Nanda, the president of Aquariton Turf Solutions.
Bruce, are you looking at lowering use of nitrogen, or are you already quite low?
Yeah, I'm very low. I think I'm just going to stick with your product or similar type products, meaning ammonium sulfate or liquid type nitrogen sources. But I don't use a lot of nitrogen.
Okay. On the Fairway program, we put out a piece of research, independent research. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, or I could send you a copy of it.
Yeah, I've been following the blog and the emails I get. I'm really curious to see how I come out with growth using your product this spring. I really think it could do me a real lot of good. And especially you've been doing a lot of research on that area anyway, from what I've been reading.
My other question was regarding clipping yields. Did you see anything in terms of clipping yields when you were applying on the fairways?
I would say yes. Clipping yields were up a bit. When we're getting low clippings and the product is applied, growth is happening, and we're getting additional clippings, not a huge surge of growth. That's nice.
Right. As you know, we put out something like 250 trials last year. We think we might get up to almost 500 this year. So everyone has provided us with their take on what the product does for them. Less hand watering was one of the things, and certainly the wilting point, the point at which it wilts has been lowered. One of the things I'm curious about is, and it may be too early, but a lot of people say that the uptake of fungicides and growth regulators in the tank was improved by addition of Aquariton 19. Did you notice anything in that area?
I didn't look at it that way, but I did notice, and I thought when I put it in the sprayer, the pump and sprayer, the molecular technology of the water change, I thought everything ran smoother. Although shortly after that, we did have to redo our pump. So it could have been even more, noticeable with that. I I don't know if I see that. I mean, I don't really look for that in particular. I think the response of your product in the plant would probably show that it would be taking in other products as well and giving you that benefit, surely.
And overall, I know you don't have a ton of disease there, but overall, did you see anything in terms of reduced incidence of fungal diseases?
I would say yes. It was a little easier year with summer patch. It came and went. As your not so much as your product, but I would think the health of the plant going in was healthier, so it wasn't as prevalent. And then by continue to use the product and other things we were doing, allowed it to come out of its disease cycle quicker. And I would say, yeah, I didn't really see any other disease issues. Now, on our fairways, we had a pretty good dollar spot year in fairways and rough. And I saw no dollar spot on greens this year, so that was good.
Our thanks to Bruce Rickert from Medford Village Country Club for joining us on this edition of Turf Topics. We thank you for joining us and invite you to be with us next time.